have to become overt. I mean, TSA is not evidence that the system's growing more powerful. From my perspective, it's evidence that they're growing more.
And they're crazy. It's unifying everyone. It's one of the issues that's unifying people across the spectrum.
I know it's self-destructive on their part. It really is almost absurd. But it's evidence they're desperate. They're grasping for straws. What are they going to do other than kick people around? They've got nothing left. And I don't.
They're getting hundreds and hundreds of giant black armored wheeled vehicles that look like something out of a science fiction movie. They're telling us the drones are coming to get us. They really think that we're intimidated like they are. Now that may work on some of the cowards, but a lot of people who wouldn't even speak out are actually getting mad because they see the systems trying to intimidate them.
Yep, that's exactly right. Plus, they don't have enough corn cobs to deal with us. The truth of the matter is the mighty American military could barely handle Iraq, which is about the size and population of Texas. What are they going to do with not just one state like Texas? What are they going to do if they have to contend with 50? They can bluff us into submission, but they don't have the power to push us into submission. If they bluff us, we consent. And that's what they're looking for. Oh, they're going to huff and puff and blow our house down if we don't do what they say. Yeah, well, maybe yes and maybe no. It depends on how many people stand up on their hind legs and say, no, we're not going along with this. Plus, we've got tens of millions of armed Americans in this country. This is not, I don't care if you are, right now the police make up 0.3% of the population. They're outnumbered 300 to 1. The military is about the same thing, 0.3%. Even if you put them both together, they are outnumbered somewhere in the neighborhood of 100.
Oh, I know. People all the time say you can't fight the military if it goes to blows. I mean, it'll be like trying to get a hunting permit for unicorns. I mean, it would be so hard if everybody tried to go out and bag one. You couldn't even find one.
Yeah, you'd be fighting among themselves. No, I get to shoot. No, I get to shoot. You know, I mean, if you're fighting, if you're outnumbered 100 to 1, I don't care what kind of weapon you have. If your 100 adversaries, if all they have are bricks, you get 100 bricks coming in on your position at the same time, and I don't care if you got a 50 caliber machine gun. You may get a bunch of that 100 people, but you're going to die under an onslaught of bricks and stones and bottles. All right? You can't deal with.
Well, number one, they want to get the military and police fighting with the American people. They're now saying the enemy isn't Al-Qaeda. It's the sovereign citizens. It's the returning veterans. I see us winning the info war with police and military now in a big way, because everything you talked about 20 years ago, everything I talked about 17 years ago, it's all come true. So we have a lot of credibility. They're not stupid. They see what's happening. And now this new Army report where they're teaching the military that the Tea Party is going to link up with Al-Qaeda. I mean, the criminal bankers are trying to now say the Tea Party's Al-Qaeda. The police know that's ridiculous. They know. So it's tiny foreign offshore bankers, only a few thousand of them total, trying to get us to kill each other. That's how they're going to try to win.
I understand. And the truth of the matter is the police have far more in common with the people than they do with the government. They are functioning as knee breakers for the mob that runs this country. That's what they're being encouraged to do. But the truth is they have far more in common with the ordinary people than they do with the people that they're taking orders from. And in the end, their masters, people giving them orders, say, why don't you and them fight? Why don't you get killed? We'll wait over here. You go get killed. You know, I mean, as a police officer, you got to look at some of this stuff and say to yourself, you know, this is crazy. They're asking me to fight against hundreds of American people, and I don't really have a personal gripe with them.
Well, that's right. And expanding on that, that's why they're racing to autonomous drones and autonomous robots, basically an 18-wheeler that pulls up at your house and dumps a bunch of robots out of the back. That's what they've already got. They want to go to an automated system, but that's a decade off till that's really totally feasible. And even then, it's not like we're going to run out and fight the robots on their turf. You know, this is going to go into a guerrilla war if we get to that point. And I'm trying to avert that. But what do you think about the attempts of the globalists to track everything, to digitize, to predict the future with their computers, which they already admit they can do to a great extent when we use their systems and they can track us, and to go to the machine-based system so they don't have humans that can refuse orders?
Well, here's the problem. They're going to have central control systems on this. If you've got all these robots or whatever it is you're going to put out there, drones, I guarantee you, You put drones up over Dallas, Texas, there's going to be one place where half a dozen or 50 people sit down and control the drones. There's going to be one target. All right? They've got centralized control on these things. The drones don't think for themselves. Neither do the robots. Somebody's sitting back in a room full of computers.
No, but that's the problem. They've already got autonomous. They're going to be satellite-based. And that brings us to the next deal. They can launch false flags with these drones and blame other governments or people with it. It's a nightmare situation. That was a drone attack on 9/11.
Well, I understand. Airplanes allegedly did things that airplanes can't do. What can you say?
Well, I mean, all the calls that were real off airphones, not the fake ones the FBI admit were never made by the Solicitor General's wife. I mean, it turned out it was fake. That's like Associated Press. The real calls were, there's gas, I can't breathe. They just had guys that were in a drill. We know they work for the government. They nerve gassed everybody on board, and a computer took over. And it's just incredibly diabolical that they did that.
Well, every bit of this is diabolical. You look back on this, for example, we talked about this man or other animals thing. I harp on it on a regular basis. First instance we found was the 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act. They defined food and drugs in terms of man or other animals. This is not an accident. This is evidence. This has been going on for a century. It's been in our law.
They said black people weren't humans, and that's why they could kill them or use them as slaves. This is thousands of years old. This is 4,000 years old.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, this is spiritual warfare. That's what we're engaged in. And I say, hooray. Once you get that, you understand this is great. I mean, this is great.
But you're not going to get the ammo you need at the 501c3 churches.
Well, it's going to be a dangerous time. But if you really believe, if you think there's another life coming, hey, spiritual warfare is fun. I know it's scary. I don't mean to understate that. I don't mean to, mistake.
No, I understand. When you actually tap into God, this all becomes fun. Yeah, I mean, even bad stuff becomes fun because you're doing the right thing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it removes that sense of doubt. It removes that sense of personal fear and anxiety. And all of a sudden, hey, I'm good to go.
Well, the globalists in the videos we've gotten from Homeland Security training, they go, and these people are committed, and they're never going to back off. So you better watch them, and they're all scared of us in these meetings. They believe, they stand for something. Well, I mean, what do you guys believe in? You serve a bunch of foreign banks that want to abort little kids and stuff? I mean, it's sick.
You know how stupid this is? There are reports from Southern Poverty Law Center that estimate there's 300,000 members of the sovereignty movement, whatever that is, in the United States. And the FBI says there have been 6 homicides since 2000. In 12 years, there have been 6 homicides that have been linked to sovereigns. It didn't even say that these sovereign people...
But we're the number one threat.
Well, here's the problem. The homicide rate in this country is 17 per 100,000. If there are 300,000 sovereigns, we should be killing at least 17 people, 3 times that, 50-some people every year. And in fact, they can only point to 6 in 12 years. It indicates that we are orders of magnitude less violent than the ordinary people. That's the implication, and these are the numbers they... That's
right, but we're smarter. We're smarter and know how to navigate with our words is what's happening.
That's the problem. I'm a dangerous man. Do you know why? I've got 12 dictionaries. I've got 7 different versions of the Bible, and that's hard copy plus what I've got on the computer. That makes me a dangerous man. I can read. I can write. I am dangerous.
Well, you've got the Bible, man, and right there, like you said, it's all right there. That's why they make fun of it all day. They're scared you're going to get in it. The worst drought in 50 years continues, and the first 6 months... Coming up in the next segment, I'm going to get into the panopticon of technology control and the globalist master plan and why all of us have responsibility to stand up against it and speak out against it immediately. Also up at drudgereport.com on the left-hand side, U.S. veterans forcibly sequestered in mental hospitals is indefinite detention, and it's happening everywhere, and it's one of these creeping operations that they're running against the people. But again, coming up, scientists successfully hacked brain to obtain private data. I'll give you my take on that. Right now, police outnumber convention protesters 4-1 in Tampa, the Hill newspaper is reporting. They have the TSA on the streets searching people all over the city, including many miles away. We have videos and articles. People with cameras are being grabbed by the police and put in databases. I mean, it's just all an exercise of the police state because a bunch of Republican establishment people are meeting. I mean, whoop-de-doo. It's so ridiculous how they use any event now as a pretext to totally take over. Take Katrina. They use that to take the guns. Heaven forbid there be another flood in Louisiana. They'll come to get the guns there. Even in rural areas, you're high and dry on a house in stilts. They pull up, you got a generator. They go, we're coming in to take your guns. I mean, since when did the government do that? I mean, they want the precedent. They want to set it. What they don't want you to know about is on WOKV television, and I see these in local news every day. In fact, they have websites that show people that are involved in self-defense. We should create a whole subsection of Infowars.com or Prisonplanet.com. In fact, I'm going to do that just on these stories. Because, I mean, what, over 20 times more often, the FBI's own crime statistics show that guns are used to stop crime than they're used for crime. I mean, look at the areas where they've taken all the guns. That's where you have the crime. Customer shoots robber dead. Jacksonville, Florida. Instead of saving money, a Northside dollar store, 57-year-old grandfather ends up saving the day. The man was doing some late-night shopping at the Dollar General store in Dunn Avenue when all of a sudden 2 men stormed and tried robbing it. Unfortunately for them, the man appears to have a concealed weapons permit, said Lieutenant Rob Schoonover with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Department. That's Jacksonville, Florida. Hey, good for the police to not demonize the guy. Usually they demonize somebody when they defend themselves. That's how you can tell if you got a better police department. If they go, oh, good, the citizen took him out. If they demonize it, you get rid of that police chief. Unfortunately for them, one of the men happens to have had a concealed weapons permit, said Lieutenant Rob Schoonover with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, says the man wasted no time springing into action. Yeah, have you watched all these countless videos of the woman in the jewelry store, the guy, a few weeks ago, all these cases in the internet cafe where the people come in with their shotguns? I mean, these are citizens, Second Amendment, grew up with guns. They're boom. They aim right at them, just like police training. That's just basic training. Boom, boom, boom. They shoot them. Guys fall over dead or, start bleeding and run off. And the untrained crooks always just drop their weapons and run because they grew up watching television where that's what you do. When your gun's out of bullets, you just throw it down. Or if somebody shoots at you, just run in fear. Because most of these criminals are just complete idiots. Smart ones go and join government or join big corporations. They don't come in and even case places. They just walk in places like Texas and Florida where every other person's got a gun. I saw an article a few weeks ago where a woman was jogging at a 25. I see that all the time. Guys try to rape her, she shoots them. But no, it's feminist, though, Gloria Steinem says, to not have a gun and just try to call a cop whose average response time is 11.5 minutes. I mean, my daughters are learning how to shoot guns, and they're going to have guns. And when they go away, if there's even college when they get that age or even a country left, you try to come hurt them. They're not going to, number one, my 8-year-old can already beat me up. She's a gymnast and everything else, and she likes to, wrestle and box and stuff. She's meaner than a rattlesnake, and pretty as I can't say what, but just beautiful. But I just love the fact that my women are really empowered and strong, not this whole fake feminist thing, but that's a side issue. Here's the big issue I want to make. Here's what nobody's pointing out. The New York police could sure get some training from citizens